As a survivor of trauma, that was the hardest thing for me to come to terms with. The alteration. The alteration of who I was 1 second before the trauma as opposed to when the trauma occurred. How I was changed, how my life path was changed, and all of the losses that I suffered because I was no longer a person without trauma. And I think for survivors, we all have that same feeling. For me, it was one of the biggest sticking points, and it is the biggest loss. I lost a mother I never had, so that wasn't something I ever knew. I must have known a moment of, peace and innocence before the trauma began. I can't imagine it. I can't remember it. It put me on a path that, included other abusers because that's what I was pre-groomed for. It put me on a path that ended up where I'm living on the streets at 13 years old. So any sort of resemblance to a childhood, to any milestones, were completely eradicated. And so, yeah, I spent years and years and years in therapy having to come to terms with and accept the fact that I will never know who I would have been without the trauma. And that's a huge loss. And I want to validate that for you and acknowledge that it is a huge loss and it is very hard to heal from. We do heal from it. Sometimes it still hurts my feelings, sometimes it still frustrates me, but I don't live in that wonder anymore, and neither will you at some point.